Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. And man, I'm coming off a hell of a weekend. I've been like the whipping boy for the weekend on social media, on the internet. And I definitely want to talk about that. But I tell you, man, I played one of my best rounds of golf yesterday. I don't care. I don't care. I shot a 40 on the front nine. And yeah. And
was this at our home course over here?
Yeah, home course, Timber Creek, man.
Oh, wow.
I played Timber Creek yesterday. My brother and I, we had another third with us, Bob. Big shout out to Bob that played with
Big Bob.
Big Bob played with us. He was playing from the tips too, man. He was a long hitter, but I was playing from the whites, and I'm gonna tell you, I was out driving him all day. All day long. At least about 20, 25 yards. So I felt good about myself. Had a couple of birdie ops. I didn't actually pull the trigger and make it work. But I had a great time, man, getting ready for the Scratch golf series. And I think I'm going to be ready, man. I think I'm going to be ready and in full effect. I just ordered 3 black gloves. You know what I mean? The white glove is cool, but I say I'm going to get the black glove. And people say, why you get a black glove? Normally when you get a white glove, it get dirty like the first day. All right?
Yes.
So if you get a black one, you can't tell it's dirty. Still feels new. You know what I mean? So that's a theory. I heard somebody else talking about that. One of the golfers that wear a black glove only say that's the reason why he wear it. I go, it's a good idea.
It is a good idea, but it's the opposite with cars, right? Like I used to have a darker colored car. It would show dirt the first day. In a white one, you never see it.
Exactly. Yeah, man. I'm coming off of a hell of a weekend. I went down to the Comic Conroe and spent some time down there on Saturday. And it was actually a pretty good con. But I could not miss my Sunday's round of golf with the brother. So yeah. What about yourself, man? What about the weekend?
Man, the weekend was good. It was my mother's birthday yesterday, so shout out to Mom. And then I spent a lot of the time watching the Olympics, right? And I've really been
into it, man.
You can't get into it?
Oh, I can't.
This is like the most into the Olympics I've ever been, and I'm not exactly sure why. Normally when the Olympics come on, I'm like, okay, yeah, they play ping pong and they swim, like whatever. Yeah. But this time around, I guess I turned it on and I was watching skateboarding, which, by the way, I know little about the Olympics, so I didn't even know that was an Olympic sport.
Yeah, I think that's what's throwing me off about the Olympic now, as far as the events. Some of these events, I just don't think they should be Olympic.
Ping pong?
Yeah. I mean, ping pong. I wouldn't say ping pong is pretty tough, but badminton.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Badminton.
I know.
I don't think that should be an Olympic sport. That's just me. I could be wrong, but I just do not think that should be an Olympic. I mean, you train your whole life to be the best badminton player. I mean, come on. He got.
It's more of a game than it is a sport.
I used to love playing badminton, and it didn't seem like it was something that should have been in the Olympics. That's just my.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. But so I guess I've just been watching, and I like that they were doing more basketball, but the U.S. men's team hasn't really come through in the clutch. They lost the first game.
They need Giannis.
But I thought he wasn't one of the best players in the league.
I did not say that. I did not say that at all.
Oh, he's not the best.
Exactly my point.
In your opinion.
And that's up for debate.
Right.
And I can't be the one to pull the trigger on that.
But my question is, would Giannis, because Chris Middleton went over there, Drew Holiday went over there, would Giannis play for the U.S. team, or would he play for the Greek team?
Yeah. It's a little controversy right there.
Because I think Yao always played for the Chinese team.
Yeah.
Luka's playing for the, where's he from, Slovenia?
Somewhere.
Something like that.
I don't mess that up.
They're all playing for their respective countries. But anyway, I've actually been into the Olympics a little bit more than I have in the past. But like I said, badminton, I don't think ping pong should be an Olympic sport, because tennis, okay, I can rock with tennis, but badminton is just the game version of tennis for people who, and I'm not like knocking into the Olympic U.S. badminton, but like it's not like the biggest athletic sport. Now, can you be incredibly skillful at ping pong like these people are? Yes. Does that mean it should be a sport? I don't think so. It's the same thing with me.
It takes extraordinary coordination to be able to play that game and play it at an Olympic caliber. So the reason I say that should be an Olympic sport is because it's only a few people in the world that can reach that level of greatness playing ping pong to be able to catch that ball going back and forth. It's like being the greatest tennis player in the world. That's why I give that game a little bit more credence, because it's so fast, it's so quick, and you got to be able to think at a moment's notice. So that's why I think about ping pong a little bit different.
Have you ever, well, the other thing I was thinking about is like, why do we need two versions of some of the sports, right? Like, why do you need a 3-on-3 basketball and a 5-on-5 basketball? Why do you need a beach volleyball and an indoor volleyball? Sometimes I think we're just kind of getting a little too self-indulgent. But have you ever heard Chris Jericho talk about how pro wrestling should be considered for the Olympics?
No. Well,
have you ever heard this?
Why would
he makes a comparison. I have to go back and listen to it because it's been some years, but there's rhythmic gymnastics, which is just a planned out routine to music where you use, where you try to captivate your audience attention with your physical presence and the moves that you're able to do and kind of tell a story throughout your rhythmic gymnastics routine. And he said those basics are very translatable to pro wrestling. You go out there, you have your kind of story that you want to tell, your routine, show off your athleticism and your ability and your flair and all that stuff. He made a better argument than I just did, but I've heard him make it before.
It's just hard. I think it'd be hard for people around the world because it would be hard for some people to wonder how should you score something like this.
Right.
So, and then should wrestling be looked upon as a performance to where you score, who had the best performance. In a lot of ways, I look at wrestling like that right now.
Right.
I look at wrestlers' performance opposed to the moves that they just go out there and do. I look at how fluent they do it, how well they work together. Did they actually pull that off with precision timing? Yeah, it's a lot that goes into that. I understand it, but I just don't think a lot of people around the world would say, man, I think they would say, I didn't get it. You know what I mean?
Kind of like badminton.
Or curling, you know what I mean?
Curling's the one that I hate too.
Curling's the one I'm like, how did this become an Olympic sport?
This is shuffleboard. You play this at the bar.
But there again, other nations around the world, sports are just different. So I guess we got to take that into account.
I knew that the U.S. was always like dominant at the Olympics. I didn't know that we had the most medals since I've been born. Like every Olympic over the last almost 30 years, we always have the most gold and the most medals. I wasn't aware that we were that top.
We got the best athletes. I mean, yeah. And the thing is, overall, just like basketball. I mean, if we send the whole dream team, we win. But only reason we're doing it is just to win. When we do that, and me personally, I think the college players should still be representing the United States as far as.
I agree.
I mean, that's just my opinion. And if we lose, we lose. But I just don't think that for the sake of winning and sending the top powerhouse, of United States nation is fair. It's just not fair.
I know. Can you imagine you've been like training? You're from like I've been. Who was I watching earlier? I was watching Nigeria play Australia, I think. And can you imagine you're these two teams? You've been working for the last 4 years, getting ready to get into the Olympics. You're going to go up and play on the U.S. team. And you're like, who am I against this year? Kevin Durant? LeBron James?
Yeah.
Or back in 92 and 96, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird? Yeah, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, but that's just the way the old Bob flop as far as the game goes. But I'm hoping we can get back on track as far as basketball goes. Right now, man, we're not looking good.
No, I'm worried for us.
I'm worried. I'm worried. Like, who was that? Hacksaw Jim Duggan said back in the day. I'm worried, Gene. I'm worried big time. Because Sapphire's never done anything like this before. Oh, man. We got a couple of super chats coming in. We're going to hold on for a second. Got to take a quick break. We'll be back in a minute. Everybody want to talk wrestling. Everybody want to get into it.
That's right.
Everybody want the internet to blow up.
That's right.
We're going to get into it in a minute. Stick around.
This is Booker T World Gym Arena in Texas City, the home to the Reality of Wrestling Training Center. It's a 20,000 square foot facility with more than 50 full-time students and wrestlers from around the world. Inside the World Gym Arena sits a 9,000 square foot venue set up for weekly shows.
From on top, 1-2 moonsault!
Where our students showcase their skills in front of a live audience.
What he's done here is awesome. He's created opportunity, and he's creating great talent, as you guys well know.
In the back, a full weight room.
6, up!
Complete with state-of-the-art equipment and personal trainers.
There you go. 2 more.
A full staff and office personnel.
One more.
Running the day-to-day operation. We have interview sets for TV production, promo classes, quarterly combines. We evaluate progression and team building. Referees, commentators, ring announcers, and live television production. At the World Gym Arena, we don't just teach you how to become a professional wrestler, but an elite sports entertainer. This is Reality of Wrestling.
Shoop! Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, man. Everybody ready to talk some wrestling, man. But before we start talking wrestling, guys, on Thursday, special edition of the Indies, Will Ospreay is going to be stepping inside, giving me a little bit of time. If you guys ever watch this guy perform, he is an extraordinary talent. So definitely check it out. That's going to be 6 p.m. right there on the YouTube channel, Will Ospreay. And yeah, but like I say, everybody wants to talk wrestling right now, as well as, like I said, we got to talk about, why I was pretty much just hung out to dry over the weekend about a comment I made about Karrion Kross. And
I know.
And the thing is, I need my guys. I need you, all of my people in the chat. When I say, you guys was right here with me when I said that about Karrion Kross, as far as, man, what's the big deal? And no one in the chat really made a big deal about it. All right. I need you guys, if I say something that you don't like, make a big deal about it. Okay. Make a stink. Because I need to know, and we need to debate it, because I need to let you know where I'm coming from, opposed to people just putting stuff out there and running with it and saying Booker T don't know what he's talking about. Look here. I'm all about the young guys. This is their generation. As far as the way they leave it, hey, that's on them. I have nothing to do with that. But for me to, make sure I speak up, I always say, man, you see something, you say something. I'm going to see something, I'm going to say something. And people will say, man, he's been a company guy. I'm not a company guy when I talk about certain things like this. I'm talking from a promoter's perspective and a promoter's perspective only. Would I have done it? Perhaps not. But there again, it's not mine, okay? I've said it before. When I want to create my stories, I go to Reality of Wrestling. I create my stories. But when I watch somebody else create their stories, if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. If it's in the middle, I'm going to say it. But as far as towing the line, that's not something I'm going to do. Let's get into these super chats, man.
Okay, and then we got to pick this conversation back up about Kross and the towing of the line thing. But let's get to this first one real quick. Here's our first
super chat. Boom.
I'm so glad that we got that. Swayze with the 499 says Cena should turn heel. Perfect time. Play onto the babyface character on stage, but backstage, he's a phony Hollywood actor. It would be monumental. What do you think about that, Book? I have my thoughts on it.
There again, man, and this is just my opinion only. Of course, John Cena could turn heel, and he probably would be a good heel. But me personally, I don't see John Cena planning on having another 5-year run or anything like that. I don't think he's planning on, how many more WWE titles he can win. I think John Cena's actually past that. And for him to turn heel, it will be only to turn heel. That's the only reason it will be. It won't be to sell the t-shirt. It won't be to, market to his audience, which is a lot of little kids that have bought tons of John Cena merchandise over these years. And if you want to just screw all of that up, it would be a great time to turn heel, if you want to mess your pocketbook up. And when I talk about stuff like that, I'm talking from an inside perspective. I'm thinking about if it was me, what I would be thinking, would be best for me and my family, and more importantly, my bank account and bottom line. So,
I hear you.
Yeah, John Cena could turn heel. Would it be great timing? Would it be monumental? Yes. But would it help his pocketbook? Would it the legacy of John Cena be intact? I'm talking about fully to do anything that he want to do after he leave this business. I don't think it's a great idea.
No, and to go to the timing aspect of it, it's not the perfect time at all. John Cena just came back. Fans are loving him right now, and he's feuding with quite arguably the number one bad guy, the number one heel in the entire company, Roman Reigns. I mean, we heard Roman get boos now that fans are back. Fans want to see somebody come in and be the valiant hero to stop the guy who seems to be unstoppable, and to bring John Cena in when he's already programmed with Roman. Well, then you'd have to turn Roman face. And why would they turn Roman face after they spent the last year trying to make him a heel? It's not good timing. And the other thing about that, go back to the pocketbooks, John Cena is about to be in the Suicide Squad, right? One of the big movies of the summer. You don't want him to come back to television and get everyone to hate him and be like, F that guy, I'm not going to go see his movie. Right?
Oh, mamacita.
Whatever that was, right? you got to make sure that he's positioned in the right position. And again, I think that you're right. At this point, if John Cena were to go heel, it would just be to see John Cena go heel so that we can say we saw him do it. There's no practical purpose.
Like I said, I could be wrong. But
you're not wrong on this one.
But we appreciate the super chat.
Let's get to the. You want to get to the other one real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go.
Super chat.
This is from Nicholas Jeffries, who says, in TNA, you called Billy Gunn a janitor. Was that segment planned or organic? And the backstage segment with Crime Time stealing your wallet, RIP Shad. Take them both. Was the Billy Gunn thing when you called him a janitor?
Look here, man. I don't want no heat with Billy Gunn. He's a big guy.
He's jacked.
Okay? You don't want to get in a fight with a guy if you don't have to. Billy Gunn's one of those guys.
He's jacked.
Nah, man, it was everything. That janitor line, it was all choreographed. It was all planned. As far as me talking to Billy Gunn in those terms, Billy Gunn's a good friend of mine. Definitely. But in the segment with Crime Time, of course, it was funny. It was one of those things where you remember how it was a highlight for Crime Time. Jack and me, somebody who's supposed to be from the hood get took like that. So R.I.P. Shad, man, most definitely.
Man, 100%, man, 100%. And Billy Gunn, by the way, again, deceptively large in person. And I think when you look at what Billy's done in his career, even going into AEW, the guy he's a Hall of Famer by himself, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
by himself. He's in there with DX. But he's a Hall of Famer by himself when he came in smoking guns and then, did everything when he was King of the Ring one year. Mr. Ass was like a big thing for a while, right? Intercontinental champion, I believe. I mean, his accomplishments go on and on.
I remember when the first time I worked Billy Gunn, I was telling him, man, I'm gonna work circles around you, man. I'm gonna go out and just, beat you from pillar to post. And I was just talking all kind of smack. And I went out and I think I screwed up the first spot. I remember that to this day, working with Billy Gunn and talking all kind of crap and going out there and screwing it up the first time we got
hell of a worker too, right? I mean, inside
hell
there,
of a worker, man.
believable, legitimate, everything.
Well, I mean, like you say, he's a guy that deceptive, as far as how big he really is. You look at him on television, and you really wouldn't imagine. I think, man, this guy is jacked, and and the thing is, when you meet him face to face, he's very intimidating. But he doesn't act like he is or anything. But he's just so big. I don't think he realizes that. Even to this day, I ran into him. I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago. I met one of the Cubs and gave him a hug. And I said, "You still jacked. You still got me." So
I believe he's also going to be on AEW Dark with some of our reality wrestling talent. I think that he and his son are working a match against, I think, Warren Johnson and Zach Mason, maybe, or Warren Johnson and Isaiah James. I got to go look at it, but it's on AEW Dark tomorrow. So
awesome.
Make sure y'all check that out.
Reality wrestling, man.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a Warren Johnson and Zach Mason are going to be taking on the Rock and Roll Express here pretty soon. So that's a cool little thing somewhere in Tennessee. I saw that today. So look at that. Look at that. A full circle. Also, 500,000 subscribers, Book.
500K, man. Reality Wrestling YouTube channel, 500K. And August 14th, we got a big show coming up, Summer of Champions. You don't want to miss out on that. Want to thank Patrick Creighton for giving away some tickets, man. I think he gave away like 30 tickets so far, and I think we're going to be giving away another 30 on Patrick Creighton's show. So make sure you tune in, get a 6-pack and come on out. Not a 6-pack of beer, 6-pack of tickets, and come on out and check out that show on August 14th. It's going to be a great show. All the championships will be on the line. Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer. He will be there, shaking hands, kissing babies, all of that good stuff. It's going to be a great show, and I cannot wait. As well as we just sealed a deal on Dayton, Texas. We're going to be doing our first show September, first weekend of September in Dayton. So guys, if you're out there listening in Dayton, get ready, because Reality of Wrestling is heading your way, and we're gonna do it big with all the stars of Reality of Wrestling. Cannot wait.
I'm excited for all that. And again, if you cannot be there in attendance on August the 14th, you can check it out on our Reality Wrestling YouTube channel. It will be available for all 500,000 of you to watch, view, and love. So, and some of our row guys are going to be competing in the Schmodown coming up this week to promote the Summer of Champions. So that should be good. If you're a fan of movie trivia, you can go check them out on that as well. So we're all over the place, Book. We're all over the place.
Hey man, we got to come back. I think we got another super chat, but we're gonna hold it off. Do we got another one?
Yes, we do.
Wait a minute. Hold it for a second. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back in the momento right inside the Hall of Fame.
And your question for the win. In The Insider, Al Pacino's character works on which TV show?
Is it 60 Minutes?
And your winner!
The Movie Trivia Schmodown, the most competitive movie trivia league in the world.
It's MMA or boxing. It's like you want to see the two best scrapping it out.
Vincent D'Onofrio. 2 points. Movie release.
Keep it.
Wow. Danny DeVito.
That's correct. You mother! The rising sun! And your winner!
Championships, factions, the best in the world play here.
I'm ready to schmo down. Throw down with the schmo down.
Kevin! Good enough! Smith! This is why we play the Schmodown.
The professional sports league of movie trivia. This isn't bar trivia. This is the Movie Trivia Schmodown.
Shup. We back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. I know we got a super chat, but as soon as we get through that super chat, we got to get back to that talk we was talking about earlier. But go ahead.
Okay, this is a quick one. This is Swayze again.
Super chat.
Booker, I was a Cena fan as a kid, and I'm 25. Cena fans are adults now. Some Cena fans are adults, but some are discovering him for the first time as children right this second and for the last couple of years. So, people get into this paradox a little bit, Book, even with Star Wars. I see this a lot of, they're like, oh, they need to make them how it was when I was a kid. Well, it was cool to you when you were a kid, right? And then as you get older, you might grow out of love of what you loved about Star Wars as a kid, but now there's a kid seeing it for the first time who's going to love it for the same reasons you did when you were their age, if that makes sense. So Cena, I think, he's one of those forever guys who should always be a babyface, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. And to add to that right there, I still get, young fans come up to me still to this day, man, that have never watched my wrestling career live and say, man, I'm a big fan, man. You one of my favorite wrestlers. And I'm like, what are you doing? You couldn't have seen my people. But YouTube, man, and the network has definitely made it possible for young people to see, what wrestling was back in the day, and some of the guys that did it, some of them that was pretty good. And they say, man, this guy was pretty good. So yeah, I think fans are definitely getting reintroduced to John Cena, the movie star, now back in the wrestling world. I didn't even know John Cena was a wrestler. That's what some kids right now, perhaps saying.
I think that's completely possible and probable. I think that's probably happening more often than not. I saw Charles Barkley was doing an interview, and he said this kid came up to him and said, "You're my favorite player," and the kid was like 11. He goes, "You could have never seen me play." He goes, "Oh, but I play as you on the video games."
Yeah,
exactly. And that's how they know that Chuck is their favorite player. But going back to this other stuff with Karrion Kross, I saw a lot of the articles that you probably did over the weekend of people talking about Booker and, oh my God, I can't believe Booker said this. Or
He's losing it.
Some people have said, I'm not, like Nate Diaz, I'm not surprised, right? But the thing with the wrestling media and fan reactions is this. I saw an article, and I wasn't even going to give it the time of day, but I saw an article that says Booker T is not a fan of Nikki Ash, right? Or Nikki ASH.
Wow.
And that's what I saw, and I said, what? I said, what did he say on the show? So I clicked the article, right? And the article starts off by saying Booker, took to his Hall of Fame radio show to talk about his displeasure with the Nikki Ash character, right? And then they give a quote. And you said, this was the quote that supposedly made you hate, everything Nikki Ash. It was, you said, back in my day, the Hurricane had that gimmick, and it worked for him. So as long as she's the only one doing on that show, more power to her. I think it's great. That was the quote for the article that said you trashed the gimmick, right?
Wow.
There was a thing you said about Finn Balor that got out there, and all the headlines were saying Booker says Finn Balor's not a star or whatever. And then you go and you listen to what you said, and you're like, look, man, Finn Balor's a star. So,
yeah, but I say right now, I say if you're in the boxing, he's ranked like number 10.
Right. We're looking at it logistically.
He's gonna have to work his way back up the ladder to number 1. It's not just, and I said the only way it's going to happen is he's going to have to go out in the middle of that ring and display great talent. That's it. And he can actually, but that's what I'm saying. People get everything twisted by seeing little clips. And people bite into it and say, man, but it cracks me up. It cracks me up. Like I said, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the young guys. I'm a fan of Karrion Kross. What Karrion Kross has built in NXT has been awesome. I've said Karrion Kross is, grown ass man. When you see him, he ain't the type of guy you gonna walk up to and say, hey man, you want to try me. He's the real deal.
Right.
As far as NXT goes, me personally, I always thought NXT should have been a form league for the young guys coming up. To try to make the NXT stars as big as the Raw stars and the SmackDown stars, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you can do that. Those guys reaching a certain level, and we say, hey man, we got to move them up out of this system. It's time to move them on to bigger and better things. But to think from what you have watched on television, which is Karrion Kross and his undefeated record, and he's had some really good matches with a lot of guys in NXT. Come to Monday Night Raw against Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy, like I said, then stole one from a guy like Karrion Kross, who was definitely, shouldn't have been expecting a guy with the integrity of Jeff Hardy would cheat. You're supposed to fight me fair and square. You're not supposed to put your feet on. So I'm looking at it from a storyline perspective, but when people say Karrion Kross now has been diminished to zero, nothing,
buried,
because and then this is what they say, and I don't know if they understand are not what they're saying. They say it was a squash match. Well, Jeff Hardy's the one that was getting squashed. Okay. Jeff Hardy's the one that was getting squashed and slipped on the banana peel and got a victory. Okay, that's what I saw. But when I see these, so-called journalists write stuff like that, I just think it's funny, and I just want the young guys to know that's out there that I'm 100% about what you guys are doing, and if I can help you in any kind of way, that's what I'm here for.
Well, yeah, but if anybody took anything you said as being disparaging toward anybody that we just brought up, especially Karrion Kross, well, that's silly. I just don't like the thing of this is the funny thing of, if you say something positive about WWE, right? Booker's towing the company line, right? It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. You could say, man, I really like Kofi Kingston. People be like, Booker's towing the company line, right? Yeah. Now, and you could take the same thing if you said, I think Kofi needs to work a little bit on this, and this. Oh, here's Booker being an old hater again, right? You can't please anybody, right? Unless you're preaching to the internet crowd. Which look, at the end of the day, you can have whatever opinion you want to have. Booker can have it, I can have it, who's ever watching can have it, who's ever on Twitter can have it, right? But don't try to belittle someone else's opinion, especially a guy who might know a little bit more, right? See, sometimes this is my thing. And Booker, you know this. And this isn't just me even, of course Brad's going to say that you're doing a show with him. There have been times where I've been what I would like to think is 100% on an idea or a view. Right there with a lot of people, I was agreeing with the Karrion Kross thing. I was like, this is terrible. Why do you bring this guy in and beat him? And I was on the phone with Booker the day before the show, and we were talking about it. And I was 100% on this thing. And during the conversation of somebody who, I don't know, has more experience in this industry than I have of life, being alive, you started to talk me through it. And I said, hey, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. I was like, you know what? Now I'm not as mad as I was before. So maybe people out there, if you react so vehemently, why don't you just stop for a moment and say, okay, what is he trying to say? Does he have a point? Before you label Booker as towing a company line or being an old hater or whatever y'all want to throw at him, just try to consider the point of view before you just trash it.
Well, my thing is,
in my opinion, that's what I would do.
That's the thing. I'm going to try to find a silver lining. I'm not just going to just look at it. But there again, if it's bad, how many times have I said, man, nah, I'm not digging this. It's not the route that I would go.
Right.
And the thing is, I'm not going to sit here and trash it because that's the route that they want to go. If I don't like it, I don't like it. But you might want me to sit here and elaborate and say, man, they suck. Or they, whoever, did this and call that person. That's not what I'm here for. That's not what I'm here for. If I see something and I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, I'm going to let you know that I don't like it. The Karrion Kross thing, boom. He's a guy, I think that loss is going to do nothing negative towards his career. Me personally, I don't know how many matches that I've lost. I don't know if guys remember how I first came into WCW. So I know what this business is, and I know cream rise to the top. People talk about taking Scarlett away from Karrion. You've even talked about that. And the thing is, those two didn't walk in the door together or anything like that. They put them together. It's a great thing. And, if it works, it works. If they keep them together, they keep them together. But for people to think that they are the, reasoning something should be happening on this television, they should get that out of their head. Just because it's a television show. It's just like a movie. Directors, producers, cast members. And if you look at it any other way than that, you're going to get caught up. You're going to be one of these guys, in the chat, talking, about this guy and that guy, getting in arguments with people about. And for me, it's not worth it as far as getting in an argument about something that I know, as far as the way I look at it, I have the right to actually do that. You know what I mean? In my opinion, just like say, for instance, Conan, he looks at this thing totally different than I. I mean, I was listening to Conan talking. He thinks what they built with Karrion Kross, man, they shouldn't have ruined it that way. Because man, Karrion Kross could have been a guy that could have feuded with Roman Reigns. And the thing is, that's true too. You know what I mean? So it's so many different ways to look at this thing for me. But there again, I'm trying to look at the silver lining, because if I was Karrion Kross, I don't want to hear on the internet that one match and now my career is over. Okay, that's the silver lining for me that I'm trying to make. Guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
And we're back here inside the Hall of Fame book. You here with us?
Brad, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
I don't know. My computer has just frozen. Oh, here we go. I think I got it back. Can you see me?
We can see you. We can hear you.
Okay, if you can see me and you can hear me, we good. All right.
All right, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. Okay, now we cannot see or hear Booker. He has left the chat. He'll come join us here momentarily here inside the Hall of Fame. While we wait on Booker T, we're going to take this super chat here, and we will bring it in right here, right now.
Super chat.
This is from Stellar Justin Lopez as I text the five-time WCW champion to rejoin the link. Rejoin the link book. Justin Lopez says, one thing I didn't like was the way Jeff went over. Yes, I know it was meant to protect Cross, but Jeff Hardy, a super babyface using the ropes. Right. I mean, I can understand why you didn't love that. And it was one of the qualms that I originally had about this whole Karrion Kross thing of, man, if you're going to bring him in and he's going to lose, why is Jeff Hardy the guy? And why do you do it in kind of the old heel way? I think we have Booker T back. There's Book.
Boom, boom, boom.
There we go. But we were talking about this super chat that just came in, Book. This is from Justin Lopez, who says, one thing I didn't like was the way Jeff went over. Yes, I know it was meant to protect Cross, but Jeff Hardy, a super baby face, using the ropes, ? What'd you think of that?
You know what? I can 100% agree. Okay? I can 100% agree with, who's that?
Stellar Justin Lopez.
I can agree 100%. Would I have done it that way? Would I have brought Karrion Kross in? But there again, like I say, guys, it's not my show. Would I have booked it that way? No. But my point was, there again, trying to look at the silver lining as far as Jeff Hardy being a guy who is a pure white meat babyface, okay? A guy that, me personally, I can't ever remember Jeff Hardy ever cheating. Okay? No. Okay, can you?
I mean, I can't recall one right now.
I can't recall Jeff Hardy ever actually cheating to get a win. But Jeff Hardy has never been, what he is now, 46?
Something like that.
okay, and to get a win, by any means necessary. I could think that way as a veteran. Okay, he got a cheap win over Karrion Kross. I don't know what was going to happen later on, but I would have imagined Karrion Kross somewhere down the line beating the hell out of Jeff Hardy. Okay, this is wrestling. Okay, so that's the way I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at it any other way than Jeff Hardy being a grizzled veteran that stole one. There again, I've been reading that this was a squash match in the favor of Jeff Hardy beating the hell out of, Karrion Kross. That I didn't see. Okay,
I didn't see that either.
From the outset, I saw Karrion Kross being a monster. Looked like he was finna roll through this thing, and it was going to be just like everybody thought it was going to be. So would I have done it that way? Probably not. But it being Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy stole a victory from this guy. Me personally, as the guy, I can smile about it and say, man, as soon as I see you anywhere on the street, I'm going to beat the hell out of you. Right. That's the way I'm thinking, So I'm thinking it differently than the fans watching it and say, man, Karrion Kross's career is over with. And there again, I don't want Karrion Kross to think that one match should define his career.
It shouldn't, and it won't.
It just doesn't work that way. And
right.
if his ears were like wide open, listening to what was going on in the press, he should be the most depressed guy in the world. Okay,
right?
Am I right or wrong on this?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, most people were saying that he was buried, DOA on arrival, dead on arrival.
So if anybody is saying anything negative towards Karrion Kross, it's all of these people. It's not me.
No.
So take a look in the mirror at yourselves, and print this and put it out there in the internet as far as, trying to make conversation about nothing, okay, more than anything. So I'm proud of what I say, and I'm going to keep saying it, and I'm going to stick by it 100%. What else we got in the chat somebody want to talk about?
We'll move on right now before you get too heated there. I mean, but people were also having a conversation around Keith Lee. Keith Lee coming back and then losing, right? Now, that one I have less of an issue, even on the onset of just, Keith Lee's coming back, but he's not losing to anybody. He's not losing to Joe Blow.
As well as Keith Lee, you think you can get up off the sofa and come in here and take my title away from me?
You saw what I did to Kofi last night.
That's the story for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You think you can take what I got after being sitting on the shelf for the last 6 months, and you answer this challenge? That's the worst thing you ever. That's what I see when I see something like that. But today's wrestling fan, a lot of them, that beef on me about saying, man, I didn't see a problem with Keith Lee losing to Bobby Lashley. They look at it from a superhero comic book perspective, to where it's all fun and games. I don't look at it that way. I never have. And I try to keep it from a serious perspective all the time. Everything I talk about is from a serious, realistic perspective all the time. I'm never just saying it just to be saying it. It's got to have some continuity behind it.
And you don't know, again, you don't know where they're going with it. I mean, you don't know if now this is Keith Lee's trajectory. Hey, man, Keith Lee was going to come back for this heroic return, and then he runs into the wall that is Bobby Lashley. And now his story arc, his character progression over the next several weeks is trying to get back to that, right? Trying to be the superhero again that I once was. I know I got it in me somewhere. And you give someone something compelling other than, hey, he's Superman. He came back and he beat the champion. That's a much more boring story. Do you know why kryptonite was invented in the comic books? So that they could give Superman a weakness. Because if Superman just wins in every comic book and beats everybody up in the first page, it's stupid. No one's going to buy it anymore. So they say, let's give him a weakness. Let's give him a weakness so we can level the playing field. And Lex Luthor's actually got an opportunity to beat Superman, right? You have to have pitfalls for your heroes in order for them to have comebacks. That's like storytelling 1001, like, or 101, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
So for me, though, with the Keith Lee thing, with the Karrion Kross thing, is at the end of the day, it's not your story, right? It's not your story. you know what? I might be watching one of the Marvel movies and say, oh man, why do they bring this character? And I wouldn't have brought her in, or I wouldn't have did this. Oh, why are they making an Ant-Man movie? Because they can make it and they can tell it. Now I can either like it or not like it at the end of the day, but I'm at least watch the movie until it ends so I know how I really feel about it and not turn it off in 5 minutes. Unless that movie is Avalanche of Sharks, because we didn't need to watch more than 3 minutes of that movie. That's the one where I'm going to say, you know what? I'm not going to make it to the end of this one.
No joke. Okay, how much drinking you doing? It ain't gonna work. I'm serious.
Avalanche of Sharks isn't where it's at. But again, these are things that we'll know as time goes on. And the thing is, too, people hating on Goldberg. This is the other thing I thought about.
This is my thing right here. This is my thing with the Goldberg thing. I don't know what the match is going to be like. I don't. Me personally, I'm not trying to pick a winner or anything like that. But if I was picking one, it'd be Bobby Lashley.
100%.
The match is not. It shouldn't last very long.
Nope.
It's nostalgia. For me, Bobby Lashley. Tell you what, I bet you the one person who's not complaining is Bobby Lashley.
Sure.
Okay, because this is a legendary figure, Goldberg. To get a chance to get in the ring and do something with him, is awesome. If it'll buffer what I'm going to do next, and who's to say at the end of that match, Brock Lesnar's not going to walk out on the stage. So I got a lot of faith in the direction that they're trying to go in, especially as of late, man, because the shows have been really good. I don't care what
they've been much better.
The shows have been, have ticked up a notch to make you want to look at it and say, okay, we got something here. So I'm not gonna hate on Goldberg. I do know this: Goldberg, he can't have very many more matches left in him.
No.
And my thing is, if me as a promoter can get something out of Goldberg, I'm gonna get it. Okay.
Well, and you just hit the nail on the head there, because I was listening to somebody talk who I'm a big fan of, and I like this guy, but I was just listening to him, and he was like, well, Bobby Lashley beating Goldberg does nothing for Bobby Lashley. So what? They bring Goldberg in, and there might be a bump in ticket sales. Well, you just answered your own question of why you bring Goldberg in. Yeah, there's been a bump. So there's been an increase in ticket sales, you say, since you've brought back Goldberg and John Cena, huh? I wonder why WWE would bring in Goldberg. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Booker, but the idea of the television show and the pay-per-view events are also to help drive ticket sales for the live events, right?
I would think.
So if you're going to do a big summer show in a stadium, you want to sell probably as many tickets as possible. One of the ways you sell tickets is by bringing in star power.
We got super chat. We got a super chat. We got to get this one in. We got to get it in.
Okay. Let's see. Where are you? Oh, the yellow. Okay. Here we go. Here.
Super chat.
Ralph Maximus with the $10 says, I think Big E versus Lashley should be the SummerSlam match. What do you think? Side note, you're my favorite wrestler of all time. I've been raising the roof since 1996. Look at that.
1900.
It's a long time ago, but
like in the Roman days, the hell are you talking about? But nah, man,
Lashley and Big E.
Lashley, Big E, definitely is a spot there for Big E. Do I want to see Big E versus Lashley? That's the question. I don't know if I want to see Big E cash in the Money in the Bank on Lashley. I don't know. I don't know if that's the marquee matchup that I want to see Big E cash in on. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you looked at it right now, would you rather Big E cash in on Roman or Bobby? They're the two champs right now.
Well, if I was booking it, I would hold that card. I would hold that card for a while, just because I gotta see the best matchup for Big E more than anything. I don't think Big E and Bobby Lashley is going to be the greatest matchup to get the greatest match. Big E versus Roman, man, I think we got something there. pulling the trigger and just rushing into it and cashing in the money in the bank just because you have it. I don't think that's always been the formula for the guy that had the money in the bank contract. I'm saying guys hold on to that thing for a year, you know. So I think having some strategicness and cashing in the money in the bank for Big E is going to be very, very important for Big E going forward as WWE champion or as world champion. That's just the way I see it. So I'm not thinking about either one of those guys matching up right now because it's just a little too soon for it. That's just my opinion.
I hear you, but we got to go to break, BT.
As soon as we get back, man, we got another super chat, man. We got to take it, man. We got to take it. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. We just rolling. Talking about what's going on in today's sports and entertainment. What do we got? We got another super chat, man.
I don't see this super chat you're referring to. I'm trying to find it. Hold on.
I think it was Kid 2D Cracks.
Okay, I haven't seen his yet here. I'll find it. Well, I mean, I see him in here, but I don't see a super chat from him.
He just put a super chat in a second ago. We gotta take it.
Well, once it pops up on my end, I will definitely pull it up here. I'll pull it up. But what do you think, Book, though, while I find this, what do you think about okay, we have Goldberg, we have Cena. There's rumors that in November, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will be coming back to WWE. I don't know if it's in a physical capacity or what, but what do you think of the older gentleman coming in?
You know what, man? I've always had mixed emotions about the older guys coming back and performing. I've always said that. That's why I've always been one of the guys that when I walked away from it, I just didn't want to be one of those guys coming back trying to relive that moment. But a star like The Rock, who's the biggest, star in Hollywood, coming back and doing something. Damn it, I'm letting him do whatever the hell he want to do. I mean, I'm serious. I'm not even gonna joke around or beat around the bush about that. But I'm gonna tell you like this here. If I could book one of the biggest star in Hollywood, and he wasn't The Rock for WrestleMania, I would do that too.
Yeah.
If I could get the biggest rap artist in Latin America, like Bad Bunny, to show up and do something, I'm going to do it. Okay? So when I look at it, I look at it from those perspectives. When we're talking about someone like Goldberg coming back, there's a lot of these young guys, young interneters that don't like seeing an older guy like Goldberg come back. Man, he's over the hill. He's past his time. But think about all of those fans that have paid money to see Goldberg for many years that say, man, just like if it was Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali coming back at 60, man, we got to see it. It's one of those deals.
We just saw Tyson fight last year.
Exactly my point. It's nostalgia, okay? Nostalgia is something that hopefully never goes away, okay? Never, ever goes away. You think watching one of these old cowboy movies, John Wayne at 60 could actually do it. But hell, damn it, that's you put him in the top role, so I don't know. I could be wrong by looking at things that way, but there again, I've always been one that loved movies, and I always loved the stories when watching movies, and the ending, the beginning, the middle was always so special, and I never try to get caught up in just the ending of a movie. I could, like Bruce Lee said, you can miss all that glory. You don't want to do that.
You don't.
You don't want to miss all of that glory. You don't want to do it. Tune in for the whole show.
Well, I did find a super chat here. It wasn't from who we thought it was, but this is from our friend Roland Curtis.
Super chat.
He says, with $20, appreciate you, Roland, says, us strictly fans and media have to remember that Booker T has likely forgotten more about pro wrestling than we will ever know. That's why when Booker T said Natalya was the GOAT, it was serious for me because Booker T said it. Okay, well, there you go.
And I appreciate that because that's another thing. I got a lot of pushback on Natalya.
Oh, you got a ton. I saw that.
Greatest WWE female superstar. And that's the way I quoted it. That's the way I wrote it up. And that's exactly the way I said it. But when you saw it, it was Booker T said, she was the best wrestler the company's ever seen. And I'm like, come on, guys.
You know how these people they just misrepresent. But they always do.
But there again, I stick by what I said about Natalya because, all you got to do is look at her resume. You say, damn. And the thing is, she's done it very quietly. She haven't been one of these, talent that have, been, getting locked up in a lot of trouble. You know what I mean? Whatnot, back and forth in the, scandals, whatnot.
But also hasn't been one who's been like, when is it going to be my time? When am I going to be the champion? You know what I mean? It's like She won by the battle of attrition.
Definitely. So, yeah, man, I believe in bringing the older talent back. And using them wisely. I know we used Mick Foley as long as we possibly could, just because people love Mick Foley. They just love everything about the aura of what Mick brought them. And I tell people this as far as people like Goldberg, people like The Rock, people like Mick Foley. Of course, we've seen those guys in the ring many, many times. We've seen them, take many, many bumps over their careers. And the thing is, do they have to go in the ring and take a bump for me to actually want to see them? No. These guys, you're going to want to see them whether they're in the ring or not. So them coming back there again, guys, it's the nostalgia purposes, and that's the way you should. I don't know. I think that's the way you should look at it, because one of these days you're going to be older, and these younger guys, they're going to be older, and you're going to be wondering, man, why do people not want to see these guys anymore? Man, I love them, and every time they come on, I'm going to pay. See, you don't understand that right now, just because you're not in that position. And me personally, I get it. I understand that.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the inverse, though. Some people say that WWE and companies such as WWE who bring in names from the past, you could even say AEW with Sting or what have you, they only bring these names in because mainly this is WWE criticism. They have trouble building new stars. Do you give that any credence? Does WWE have a problem making new stars? I mean, you look at some of the guys right now. You have Roman Reigns, who's the champion, who I think he's pretty solidified as a star. You have several other people on the roster who I think you can make an argument for they're a star, they're a top guy. But do you think that's a legitimate criticism?
You know what? I can't say it's legitimate criticism as far as WWE is not trying to create stars. I don't think the business could move forward if the company wasn't trying to create stars. But but I do think stars are different than the majority, the bulk of, just say, for instance, you knew Justin Bieber was going to be a star from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't have to do a whole lot for you to know this kid here, man. It's money. You know what I mean? Everybody's not like that. Everybody's that come out of the curtain just because they are billed to be a star doesn't mean that your star is going to shine as bright as the next guy. You don't think Michael Jackson's star illuminated from like Mars?
Right.
When other stars didn't illuminate, nowhere near that, but they were still stars. That's what I'm talking about. The guys that rise up out of the ashes, those guys are special. They're extraordinary. And these days, in these days, wrestling, it doesn't allow these guys creativity to actually shine like it did when we were doing it. And a lot of the reason is because we got a chance to go around the world working on our craft in front of many, many crowds that we didn't know, crowds that we had to figure out on the fly. It's totally different for the wrestler today to become that kind of a star because the avenue, the roadmap, the blueprint is totally different. And outside looking in, you think looking at that guy, man, he's supposed to be at the top of the roster. And then you put him at the top of the roster and you wonder, man, why we ain't really. So I understand it from a much, much broader perspective, I think.
And I will say this is in recent years, I don't know, WWE has become the attraction in a lot of ways, right? I mean, I remember when WWE was announced for Houston, I didn't look at the press release and see who was even going to be on the card. I'm like, oh, it's going to be in Houston? I'm going to go. I want to see the show, right? I mean, WrestleMania is going to be in Dallas? I'm going to go. I don't know who's going to be on that card. But the attraction is the brand to a certain extent. Is I'll watch any NBA game not because of the stars who are going to be on it. I just want to watch basketball be played at a high level.
Well, well, I look at it this way.
Not to say stars don't have an impact. I mean, obviously they do, but I'm just saying I think the brand sells a lot of it today, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, like I say, it's different today as far as the wrestlers, the way they're marketed. We were marketed in so many different ways back in the day. We got ourselves out there in so many different ways. We were able to do a lot more as well. And a lot of the young guys these days, they're tied in. They can't do as much as we did as far as outside ventures and stuff and whatnot. So the business is different. A guy like The Miz, who have branded himself, I don't think there's too many people you're going to ask them, hey, you know who The Miz is? They say no. This is because he's put himself on television outside of wrestling. It's got shows doing this. He's branded himself very, very well. And the company has helped him also to become The Miz, the television star. So I think it's going to have to work both ways in order for these guys to come up to that next level. Stick around, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. So the Young Bucks, I had heard about these guys, but I didn't know them or anything like that. And they had a WWE tryout. And these two guys, they were, hanging in the hallways. It seemed like they were, I don't know, they were kind of like off to themselves. I don't know. I don't know. It just felt funny. And I was getting ready to do I was doing commentating back then, and I had my jacket, laid over this, piece of equipment, and I walked by, and one of the Young Bucks was leaning on my jacket, and I was like, "Hey, bro, that's my jacket right there," and he goes, "Oh, okay," I got my jacket and I walked off, and I was like, I didn't realize it, but they were there for a tryout, and I was like, man, after I realized it, I said something on one of the podcasts or our show or something. These guys didn't even shake my hand, and then next thing you know, it was a big thing going around as far as me not shaking the Young Bucks' hand. And then they started doing a thing online where, they wouldn't shake anybody's hand, and then, they had a thing with RVD.
Right.
Where they wouldn't shake RVD's hand. So I was like, man, you know what I mean? These guys are taking this thing to another level. Can't wait to see them. So I wanted to fight the Young Bucks. I want to get it to them.
You want to put hands on them.
I want to put hands on them.
Put those Fifth Ward beads on them.
Yeah. And we ended up running into each other at an independent show. And I'm still a little bit hot, And, so we end up talking and whatnot. And, we end up getting back around to what happened up in WWE as far as my jacket goes. And they go, bro, reason we didn't say anything to you, man, you're intimidating. Sucker! Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. We ain't got any more super chats or anything right now to get to, do we? Are we good?
I don't see any right this moment, Booker T.
Yeah.
The wrestling world still largely been discussing all this AEW, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan stuff.
Yeah.
It looks like CM Punk, according to reports, has signed his AEW contract.
Yeah, that's the rumor, man. That's the rumor. He signed on Friday or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's a big deal. It's a big deal. And people, I even seen some stuff like people saying, sound like, it seemed like Booker T don't like CM Punk. And CM Punk was one of the first guys I brought to reality wrestling back in the day when he was like a young kid. And I was like, man, because I could see talent in him. I could see how much he wanted it. As well as CM Punk was different. You could tell he was different than the rest of the guys. Some way, somehow. And that's why he rose to the top. And when I see people saying, Booker T don't like CM Punk, that's not true. CM Punk UFC career, I criticized it. And the thing is, I would criticize an actor, anyone that thought that they could jump in the UFC and had never had a fight before. And I just thought it was egregious. I just thought it was wrong. Not just for CM Punk. I thought it was wrong. The UFC was actually using CM Punk to get more fans at the expense of him going out there and perhaps getting hurt really, really bad. Did CM Punk want to do it? Did CM Punk have something to prove? Of course he did. But for me to say I did not agree with a guy going into the Ultimate Fighting Championship that never had a fight anywhere on paper was going to be a good idea. I end up being right about that, but I don't take any pleasure in that or anything. I'm just speaking the truth. I like CM Punk. I want CM Punk to be successful. I talk about CM Punk being away for 7 years and coming back. And is that going to be a transition? Is that going to be something where he's going to have to really work hard? Heck yeah. Time off is anyone's worst enemy in sports. That's just a fact. Has the business changed over 7 years since CM Punk left to this day? Yes, it has. And I say stuff like that, and people jump on me and rip on me about like I'm saying something that's not true. I'm speaking nothing but the truth. If he's successful and he can go out there and fly like he did once before, boom, more power to him. But for me to speak on something that's as relevant as, waking up in the morning, I'm serious.
Right.
I think I should be able to do that. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
you guys correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and I want to shout out Jay Ward right now. I'm trying to fix a camera issue over here, but Jay Ward gave us a $10 in super stickers, which is the first time I'm seeing this. So shout out to Jay Ward. But well, the thing about CM Punk as a UFC fighter is, I mean, you and I talked UFC talk every single week for 2 hours a week for several years before CM Punk decided to do his UFC career. And we discussed CM Punk's, chances from a 1,000% realistic perspective. This is a guy who's near 40 years old, never had a fight before, trained for a year and a half. He's facing a guy who's a third of his age, or not a third of his age, half his age, and has,
who just strangled a guy this weekend on Fight Night.
Right. And he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu or something like that? I mean, the guy's a legit dude, you know what I mean? And had fought professionally before. And we were just speaking about it from a realistic perspective. Now, was the wrestling community, myself included to some extent, rooting for him because, hey, go win one for the Gipper or whatever? Yeah, I mean, that would have been cool. But realistically speaking, which is how, we want to talk in a combat sports situation, CM Punk, it was a misstep. It wasn't the best idea. Now, he went and got his check. UFC sold some pay-per-views. So at the end of the day, from that aspect, it was probably a complete success. As far as a engagement of physical combat, he was not successful in his 2 encounters in the UFC, and all we did was point that out. I don't think that equates to, we were hating on CM Punk or anything like that. Yeah. I think that that's just, the same way we talk about Conor McGregor, the same way we talk about Nick Diaz, Kamaru Usman, Tyron Woodley. I mean, you can go down the list of UFC guys who we've been like, I don't know, and we just talk about them from a realistic perspective, the same way you talk about any other sport. So I think those are people who are just attached and in their feelings if they thought anything of that.
But AEW, huge pickup, man. It's a huge pickup.
Massive.
For AEW. Daniel Bryan, huge pickup for Daniel Bryan. And I'm sure Daniel Bryan he's one of those guys, man, that would love to, go and work that style, but then want to go to Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and work that style over there with Will Ospreay, who I got coming up on the Indies on Thursday. My special guest. He's one of those guys who still got a lot of fire left in him. He's still relatively a young guy. How old is Daniel Bryan? But I don't think he's 40 yet.
He's probably close.
Got to be close, but I don't think he's quite there. But I know he's still got a lot left to give, as well as.
He's 40 as of May of this year.
Okay, as well as the young guys today that's doing it, and they grew up on Daniel Bryan. He's one of their heroes today. He's someone that could be in the locker room with them, and they go, man, I could learn a lot. CM Punk is one of those guys that could be in the locker room that they looked up to watching him. They worked that style. So yeah, man, huge pickup for AEW and what they are planning on doing going forward. It's huge. Chicago is going to be off the chain. They may even have a parade in Chicago.
I mean, it would be a pretty massive. It would be a pretty massive event. Did I get? Okay, there we go. It'd be a pretty massive event, though. I mean, for CM Punk to walk out, because here's the thing: they're having 3 shows in Chicago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, and debuting their new TV show, Rampage. They're doing all this stuff. I mean, it would just be, if they pull this off, obviously the internet's going to talk. But let me ask you this question. People were comparing this dual signing, almost a simultaneously signing of 2 massive free agents. They were comparing it to back in the mid-90s when 2 other high-profile free agents left WWE and jumped ship to the competition. We're, of course, talking about Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. Do you think that that's a fair comparison? Scott Hall and Kevin jumping ship, and Daniel Bryan and CM Punk jumping ship?
Of today's era? Yeah. Well, thing is, I don't call CM Punk jumping ship.
That's true.
Okay. I wouldn't call it, so I'm not going to say that at all. But these 2 names, as big as they are, does it have that same feel? Like it's cool and one team just pulls something off? Heck yeah. Yeah, it feels like that. Because, of course, Daniel Bryan, man, he created something. The Yes Movement, that right there, man. It hadn't been a movement created like that in WWE in many years.
Yeah.
where the fans participated like that.
It was crazy.
It had been many, many years since that happened. Daniel Bryan did that himself. He didn't, that was organic from him, So for him to do that in this era, being not the biggest guy in the locker room, but still can go out there and hold his own. A guy that worked, much bigger than he actually is. I always said that boy D. Bryan, he's special. So to have someone like him on your team is awesome, and to be able to make a comeback, from having a broken neck, and to still be able to, go out there and do it the way he does. Hey man, big pickup for AEW.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, they're having that show in September, I think it is, at Arthur Ashe Stadium, or September, October, which, right now, and this is big for them because AEW, I think when they were here in Austin, in Texas, I think they sold, I don't know, upwards of 3,000 seats. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. Somewhere around there, which is still a nice crowd, especially coming off pandemic. But this Arthur Ashe Stadium show, I think, is selling near 20,000 as it currently stands. That's on track to be AEW's biggest show ever. And if you're going to have your biggest show ever, you might as well have your biggest talent ever and pull out all the stops you can. And, that's the rumor of where Daniel Bryan will make his debut.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that area, the New York and surrounding area, is the mecca of professional wrestling. The fans there, they are rabid, man. They love their professional wrestling. They probably got, on any given weekend, 10 independent shows running. I ain't lying. I'm dead serious. That's why I say for them to do it there, it just goes to show you how much the fans are wanting to buy into what's going on. The war is on, guys. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
It's historically the biggest night in reality of wrestling's calendar year. It's the Summer of Champions. A night where new champions are crowned, familiar faces are seen, and iconic moments occur. Some of the biggest battles, some of the most heated rivalries, all come to a head at the Summer of Champions. This year's main event will feature the Texas champion Will All Day taking on the Reality of Wrestling champion Cameron Cole in a title unification bout. All goes down live August the 14th on the Reality of Wrestling YouTube channel and live in Texas City. It is the Summer of Champions 7.
Sucker!
Welcome back, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame, and most definitely make sure you get your tickets. August 14th, Summer Champions is going down, and if you can't be there live and in person, go to Reality of Wrestling /YouTube and catch us on YouTube, man, because we will be streaming live Summer Champions that night. So it's gonna be on, man. I'm looking forward to seeing my young stars go out and perform at such a very, very high level. The guys and girls, man, they're always working down at 10,000 Emmett F. Lowry Expressway. If you want to be a part of Reality of Wrestling, just go to realityofwrestling.com. Do it now if you have any aspirations at jumping in this business. But where were we, Ben?
Well, I mean, we're talking about all kinds of stuff, but I figure since we're talking about champions right now, 20 years ago today, I just want to bring this little footnote up. 20 years ago today, Booker T defended his WCW championship against Kurt Angle.
I won that match.
This one you didn't win. I'll be honest with you. It was you and Kurt Angle on SmackDown. This is when you were just a 4-time WCW champion. and this was the one where he actually beat you for the title.
Oh, it was a lot of shenanigans.
It was shenanigans.
There was a lot of shenanigans going on in that match right there, if I recall. I think it was a brawl.
It was in his hometown of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, you got to put a guy over when they're at home sometimes. You know what I mean? Big baby first, Kurt Angle back then, American hero, Olympic gold medalist, won the gold medal with a broken freaking neck. So yeah, it was, you know, that's the way it goes sometimes. Yeah.
Well, but what do you remember like about the first time meeting Kurt Angle? Like, you knew he was Olympic gold medalist. I'm sure you had watched him when you were in WCW, but the first time that you went in there and you got to meet him, and maybe even the first time you worked him, what do you remember?
Well, Kurt Angle is a guy that he's very, very special in the ring, especially a guy that adapted to it so quick coming from the Olympics, being a real shooter, but to love this business so much to where he picked it up like the back of his hand. Kurt Angle stuffed pretty much 20 years of performing into like 10. He picked it up like I say, like a cat, man. You know, balancing act. That's how good he was. I mean, to watch him do a moonsault off the cage when he wasn't a flyer or anything, but do it perfect with precision. I go, wow, this is a guy that can pretty much do anything. Throwing caution to the wind. But more importantly, Kurt was the guy that worked at a very high level. Next level, I would say. I remember watching him work Eddie Guerrero one time, and I told myself, man, if I ever wrestle Kurt Angle, I got to be ready. I'm serious. I might want to jump rope for 30 to 45 minutes before the match and get a sweat going, because I know I'm going to be in for a match, and if I can't keep up, he's going to leave me behind. That's the kind of guy Kurt was in the ring. If you couldn't keep up, he would leave you behind, and he could really make you look bad. And I always wanted to, match Kurt, step for step, just because he was an Olympian. And even though I knew I probably couldn't, I just want to feel that way. I couldn't have felt that way in an Olympic grappling match, but in a professional wrestling match, I could, as long as I could just keep up. And I think I did that with Kurt. We had a really, really good chemistry, and we worked really well together, and we had some really good stuff.
Well, speaking of Eddie Guerrero, what did you think of the stuff that was going on over the weekend on Twitter? I don't know if you got to see it, but there was somebody who claims to be some sort of all-knowing person in the realm of professional wrestling, who tweeted this opinion about Eddie Guerrero was nothing more than a B+ player. And the only reason we remember Eddie is because of his tragic passing. We don't really remember him because he was this great champion. Now, obviously, the overwhelming majority of people disagreed with this man so much that Eddie Guerrero has been trending on Twitter for the last 2 days. But Eddie Guerrero, to me, was, total package, right?
Yeah, but that's the kind of stuff people these days will say about someone like Eddie Guerrero, just to get, their name out there, just to get some clicks. Eddie Guerrero was uncanny as far as a professional wrestler go. He was well before his time, and it was almost like he could see into the future as far as a match goes. You didn't even have to think when you were out there with Eddie. He would do all the thinking for you. He was great, and for someone to say something like that, it just goes to show how much they don't know about the business, and guys like Eddie Guerrero and what he did for the business, and so many guys that came after him as well. So I can see a couple people on social media agreeing with that person and saying, yeah, Eddie wasn't that good. But they don't know Eddie. They wasn't in the locker room with Eddie. They wasn't in the ring with Eddie, on those tours with Eddie. And the locker room leader, Eddie, they just don't know. And it's easy to write something these days. It's easy to put something behind those few characters and push that enter button and put it out there in the world. But Eddie was there again, one of the greatest performers that ever put on a pair of boots. And you know how good someone is when when you hear their peers talk about them. You're not going to hear one person that did it with Eddie say he was a B+ worker at best. No, you're not going to hear that. But I can expect hearing that from someone who has never been in the ring ever before, never put on a pair of boots ever before, make a comment like that, and someone give them the platform to actually do it.
Well, and the other thing too was, I mean, take even his in-ring acumen out of it. Eddie Guerrero, even as a character and a promo and a persona, was A+, was top shelf. You know what I mean? They were WWE's been putting up these little things that I guess they filmed for the Olympics back in the day. Because I guess the Olympics were going to be on USA or whatever, so they were doing these crossover things, and Eddie's character, or Eddie on this promo, was running the 100-meter dash, and he had glued all the guys' shoes to the little starting things that they put their feet on, so that when everyone said ready, set, go, all they were glued to the to the tracks, and Eddie just leisurely strolled across the finish line. So even from that, and I even go back to the one of you and him, Pulp Fiction, right? The Pulp Fiction thing, that was massively entertaining.
Amen.
And I think that if you can entertain just as good outside of the ring as you can in the ring, you're the total package. And Eddie Guerrero was the total package.
I don't even know what makes someone make
it's so like silly.
That's just like so random. Eddie Guerrero sucked.
Oh man, I was talking to somebody the other day of we were talking about LeBron versus Michael, and he was like, Michael didn't really ever play anybody. There wasn't a lot of talent in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wait, what? He beat Magic and the Showtime Lakers.
Oh my God, man! But that's what the world is right now. Being able to formulate a thought and put it out like that. And for people to give it any weight, is crazy. Michael Jordan, of course, was one of the, if not the greatest. And I say one of the, just putting that out there like that, if not the greatest player that ever played the game. It's undisputed. It's undisputed. Come on, how many rings he got? It's undisputed.
Yeah.
What this guy did, but somebody out there would actually say Michael Jordan is a B+ player.
Yeah. He didn't play anybody. He didn't play anybody.
Who did he pin? It's one of those type of deals.
I don't know, man. People have their opinions on the internet. The internet is.
We got to get up out of here. Before we get out of here, though, man, TJ Dillashaw was Corey Sandhagen robbed this week, or not? That your opinion?
Corey Sandhagen was 1,000% robbed.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to hear it, man. If you had the same sentiment as I, because I felt like Corey Sandhagen won that fight. He looked like he was ready to go to the club after he didn't have a scratch on him. And I tell you, TJ Dillashaw looked like he needed to go directly to a hospital and be admitted, not just go and get checked out. He looked like he had, scar tissue was pretty evident. The swelling was pretty evident. And did it look like he had been in a fight? It looked like his ass got beat up. So I'm just saying, man, we need to do something about these judges in boxing, because I'm a huge, Charlo fan. And I tell you, watching the Charlo fight, I felt the same way. I felt like Charlo lost that fight. And I got to say it just because I watched the fight. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, man, because he's a hometown boy. I know it's supposed to be a rematch, but it should be a rematch, because that kind of stuff needs to be fixed as far as the fight game go. These judges, man, they need to be fixed. It's something need to be done now.
Yeah. I mean, well, the TJ Dillashaw one, in my opinion, was a bit egregious. It looked like he just got beat up for the majority of the fight. Did he win a couple rounds? Sure, but he did not. I couldn't. He didn't win 3 rounds. I didn't see that.
No. I didn't see it at all. I saw him puffering. He was looking for a way to win, but he lost that fight. And hopefully, That's a fight that should be run back. Sandhagen, Dillashaw, and hopefully we'll see it again. As well as, before we get up out of here, fight just got announced. Usman Covington coming up. You don't want to miss out on that. Hey, guys, we got to get up out of here. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I want to thank all the super chatters as well. Bradley, as always, will be back same place, same time on Wednesday. Don't miss out. Don't get shut out. But right now, we out of here.
Can you dig it?